the numbers, the reasoning, the actions that don't make sense to them but make perfect sense to you. They never saw it coming. In their minds, every calculation, thought, and small action you conduct is like a virus. They watch you play a game they have no idea exists, staring in confusion and fear. You've been functioning at a level that they can't even comprehend, which is why you're grinning. Their rules are being broken, their circuits are melting, and their confidence is vanishing. The sweet spot is to outthink everyone without them noticing. Isn't that right? The location where everyone feels in charge, where boundaries are well defined and rules are strict. You, on the other hand, are already 3 steps ahead of them, chuckling softly at their own bewilderment. They see logic as a cage, a secure, predictable route, but you're dancing on its boundaries, twisting and bending it into shapes that only you can understand. Every look, every word, every action you take is deliberate, but it's imperceptible, like a shadow passing behind their blind eyes. They are unaware that they are involved in your game. Clear's throat. You can play with, analyze, and deconstruct their presumptions, expectations, and overconfidence without them ever realizing it. The fun starts when they use rules you've previously rewritten in your head to gauge reality. As their tidy little universe disintegrates in silence, you whisper chaos into order. They boast about their strategy, intelligence, and terrain knowledge, but you're playing 3D chess in a dark room while they're playing checkers. You don't even need to step in because every choice they make is painfully predictable. The pattern emerges organically. They fight, plan, and plot, believing that complexity is on their side, but complexity is just another tool you may use to manipulate them while they grin and believe they are in charge. You return the smile, but it's darker and harsher because you know that their calculations, meticulous measurements, and meticulous plotting are entirely ineffective against a mind that defies their rules. You've altered the game's coding before it even began, hacking their expectations. Nevertheless, they enter it unprepared, self-assured, and unwavering in their stupidity. It's artistry, not cruelty. You are the canvas, the brush, the invisible hand that adds color beyond each line they have made for themselves. Because you're functioning outside of their restricted perception, beyond vision, and beyond comprehension, they are unable to notice you or predict you. Every action they take contributes to the narrative you have already crafted. Every move they make is a note in the symphony you conduct from the shadows. They can't see the big picture, yet they fear in glimpses and small mistakes. It is beyond their comprehension. The gradual unraveling, mental dissonance, and the way their minds begin to falter, stammer, and fail in an attempt to interpret a pattern that has already danced past them are what bring them ecstasy instead of their defeat. You don't flaunt your genius. Instead, you go unnoticed, leaving a trail of bewilderment, intrigue, terror, and admiration intertwined. They believe they are managing, reacting, and analyzing, but before the impulses even develop, you have already predicted the reactions. Their certainty turns into a trap, their confidence into a weakness, and their presumptions into a weapon in your hands. Believing they are the play's masters, they are unintentionally creating the stage for your invisible genius through every connection, engagement, and small detail. And you watch it all happen in the shadows and stillness, a stealthy predator among the unaware, planning without effort, calculating without hesitation, and flourishing in the invisible realm where they dare not look. An untamed, untouchable mind that uses uncertainty to your advantage by functioning on a frequency people are unable to detect. Yes, that's where the beauty is. When the rules change, when assurance vanishes, and when the familiar splinters and breaks, everyone else panics. You glide through it, smiling at the chaos as if it were a long-awaited friend, while they thrash, seeking for patterns, logic, and the security of your order. Your clear click that click your right. Their mind's inability to cope with the disease turns into a ladder to unreachable heights. Not only do you survive chaos, but you also shape, mold, and use it as a weapon against others who are trying to maintain routine. Every pause, error, and recoil they exhibit is a gift, a tiny glimpse into their predictable fear. You see their hands quiver, their eyebrows wrinkle, and their self-confidence shatter as though everything in the universe has come together to give you the upper hand. They overthink, analyze, and attempt to forecast, but in actuality they are unconsciously moving to the beat you have established in your head and dancing to your unseen rhythm. And isn't that tasty? Because their disorder, their struggles, and their attempts to take back control will only strengthen your strategy and increase your clarity. You've mastered the ability to decipher minor tremors of uncertainty, micro-responses, and unseen signals, and you use each one as leverage, a plan, and an irresistible force that they are unable to identify. You see confusion as an opportunity, a secret weapon concealed in plain sight, whereas they perceive it as a weakness, a flaw to be fixed, and a threat to be avoided. Your path to mastery is hampered by every misalignment of expectations, breakdown of comprehension, and fault in their mental program. They attempt to plan, organize, and forecast, but their attempts are ineffective as you are untouchable, fluid, and a mind that slips between the gaps in their view. You foresee the panic before it happens. You control the ambiguity before it manifests itself. You turn chaos into a channel for genius. You walk like a ghost in the storm, unharmed and unstoppable, feeding off the very turmoil that would destroy anybody else. While they stumble, their ideas trip over themselves, and their brains fry attempting to reconcile what makes no sense in their laws. It's a beautiful irony. The more they battle, the more entangled they get, and the clearer you get, the more accurate, sharper, and untouchable you become. You are the personification of clarity, the reflection of freedom, and the precursor to a logic they are unable to understand. Confusion is not the adversary. Rather, it is the mirror reflecting their limits. Your advantage is strengthened, your invisible kingdom is built, and your image of dominance is painted in a gallery they will never be able to access with each step they take incorrectly, every glance they misread, and every queen of You transform uncertainty into ammunition, hesitancy into opportunity, and doubt into a ladder. And you slide quietly and beautifully in the gaps of their cognition, enjoying the elegance of your talent, while they scream in silence and struggle to find a foothold in a world that has deceived them. Instead of facing their bewilderment, you ride, dance, play, and twist it until it submits to your desire. And in doing so, you become an unpredictable force, an untouchable mind, an invisible presence, a shadow that flourishes where they falter, and a spark that ignites brilliance in the chaos they cannot bear. That's the art, isn't it? Working on a level people can't understand. They believe they are intelligent, astute, and conscious, but in front of a mind that won't remain in the lines, all of their strategies, instruments, and meticulous little frameworks fall apart. Because your movements occur in a realm they're unaware of, and at a frequency that their minds aren't designed to detect, they are unable to perceive you. You're already somewhere, scheming in the shadows and considering perspectives others can't even fathom, while they quarrel over specifics, debate over results, and cling to their delusions of control. They sense it, an uneasy itch in their confidence, a whisper of uncertainty, but they are unable to track or scratch. Every look you give, every word you say, and every quiet you maintain has layers they will never be able to remove. And isn't that tasty? How their conviction crumbles without a single direct encounter, how their pride blinds them, and how their presumptions deceive them. You thrive where they are afraid to walk in the spaces between their understanding and the holes in their reasoning. They believe that everything happens in a straightforward cause and effect manner. But you are a genius whose tactics appear insane from the outside, yet strike with perfect accuracy, a chaos that defies the rules, and a storm wrapped in a grin. Clear's throat. They're chasing shadows in a hall of mirrors you've created, yet they're trying to catch you, forecast, and match. You go smoothly along hallways they can't even see, while they are unable to navigate reflections of reflections and illusions. The thrill is in being invisible. The way they respond to ripples, echoes, and unintelligible signs, all of it strengthens the gap they will never be able to cross, increases your awareness, and sharpens your advantage. You can relate to their frustration, fear, and frantic attempts to keep up. A choreography that only you can perform, a beat you've known since the start. Every error they make, every blank they miss, and every false belief they hold on to creates your stage, paints your canvas, and creates a reality that is unattainable. You don't brag or yell, you're not required to. Just your presence warps the surroundings, bends perception, and distorts the space. They are scared, excited, and unable to follow the pressure, unbalance, and whisper of an intelligence they are unable to map. Furthermore, outmaneuvering is not the only aspect of the attractiveness. It's in the awareness that you've altered the rules covertly, that your level is untouchable, invisible, and unknown. It's not merely higher than theirs. Can identify patterns and outcomes, but they will never be able to see the genius's secret framework that makes the improbable inevitable, the chaotic beautiful, and the impossible routine. You are simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, a river they feel but are powerless to stop, a storm they can sense but cannot control, and a mind that chuckles softly at the pointlessness of their comprehension. You move freely, untethered, unseen, a predator in a world that doesn't even realize it's hunting, thriving in the spaces between comprehension and madness, where only a mind operating beyond their level can survive, excel, and dominate, while they strain, panic, miscalculate, and flounder in the depths of your unseen calculations, reaching mental norms without exerting much effort. That's the real mark of someone who isn't constrained by the commonplace, the expected, and the courteous boundaries of reason that everyone else adores. You had already thrown those boxes into the fire, seen them curl and burn, and grinned as you walked over the ashes. They live in lines, in boxes, and in tidy little compartments that tell them what is right, safe, and possible. You glide easily and fluidly, dancing along roads that don't exist on their maps, while they are afraid of the repercussions. Halt at the edge of possibility and measure every word and gesture. They cling to traditions, mutter rules to themselves, and rely on formulas, and you watch helplessly as they struggle, because you don't simply disregard the rules, you manipulate, bend, and rewrite them, and you never have to do anything to stop the chaos. And isn't it euphoric? The way their brains short-circuit in an attempt to understand behaviors that are both intentional and impossible, the way their thoughts strive to make reason, and the way their certainty breaks. Every rule they revere turns into a weapon in your favor, a stepping stone you take while they are terrified of what they believe to be familiar territory. You flourish in the nooks and crannies, the unseen areas where reason itself is reluctant to move, where its predictability becomes your playground. You move in the spaces between, in the shadows between reason and crazy, creating movements they can't possibly imagine, while they attempt to anticipate, control, and map the world into lines and angles. They plan, measure, and strategize, but every calculation they make feeds your rhythm or rhythm they can't see. The subtlety is what makes it so beautiful. The way your genius works in silence while they scream inside their brains. The way you manipulate vision without them realizing it. And the way you manipulate results without leaving a trace. They believe they have control and that logic rules everything. But you've already destroyed the fundamental basis they rely on and replaced it with something fluid, erratic, and unstoppable. Your gain, your advantage, and your secret laughter reverberating through the invisible hallways of their brains are all made possible by every pause, uncertainty, and slight misalignment in their thinking. They plead for sense, they cling to order, they seek clarity, and all the while you move through complexity like water, sliding past their barriers, flowing through confusion, and flourishing where they are afraid to walk. Not only is it exciting to break the rules, but it's also exciting to see patterns where none exist, move where they freeze, and produce unanticipated results. Results that are unexpected, unquestionable, and seem unattainable until they materialize. There's no need to explain. You don't have to defend yourself. The impact is sufficient yourself. The impact is sufficient yourself. The impact is sufficient. Confusion, amazement, clear's throat, frustration, and terror are all equally prevalent as the waves of your unbound mind sweep over everything. They never witness the process, but they do see the results. Though they are unable to locate it, they sense the brilliance. They are unable to control the turmoil, even though they can taste it, and in that you flourish, untamed and untouchable, a mind dancing in the void, a mind that is incapable of following, reaching, or understanding, a mind that transforms the limitations of the environment into invisible wings that enable you to soar above the ground they cling to, making each move flawless but surprising. That's the sweet chaos, isn't it? By the time their minds catch up, you're already somewhere else, dancing through a web they can't even see, despite their belief that they can read you, predict, and plan around your movements. Every action, choice, and idea you make contains a secret burden, a trap or a spark that ignites uncontrollable, untrackable, and unmeasurable ripples. Unknowingly, they are feeding your rhythm and setting the stage for your next difficult move while clutching at logic, predictability, and patterns. Every motion you take has a purpose, every disorder is a design, and every smile is a calculation. You move like a shadow in the sun, visibly but untouchably. In brief bursts of terror, they attempt to foresee, justify, and tie your behavior to rules they perceive to be in place. And that's the beauty. The dance you effortlessly lead is choreographed by their fear, uncertainty, and impotent attempts at foresight. It's not loud to be perfect. Applause is not necessary for perfection. It's the careful chaos that appears random to them, but is expertly planned in your head. It's the silent precision in the storm, the invisible gears spinning in a machine they can't see. Before they even realize the game has started, every misread glance, hesitation, and assumption they hold on to becomes a lever in your hands, a springboard to the next play, and a domino that falls just where you want it to. And isn't it euphoric? The rush of being untouchable, the ability to watch them stumble while you effortlessly navigate possibilities they are unable to comprehend. You chuckle softly because it's more than simply unpredictability. It's genius disguised as insanity, mastery concealed in chaos, and grace concealed in chaos. They plan, they strategize, they try to predict the future, but they are blind to the subtle symphony you conduct. A music composed of moves that are invisible to the untrained eye but perfectly resonate in the space of impact, the space of consequences, and the space where only a mind like yours can function. Additionally, every mistake they make, every blink they miss, and every bit of uncertainty they encounter reinforces your advantage, feeds your clarity, and creates the appearance that your actions are random when they are anything but clear's throat. As the predator in the maze, you are completely unpredictable, invisible, and untouchable. However, each move, turn, and motion is purposeful and meticulously planned to shatter expectations and reconstruct them in accordance with your invisible plan. They can see the disorder, feel the disruption, and sense it in the air, but they are unable to measure, track, or pinpoint it. And that's where your deadly, silent power blossoms. They believe that unpredictability is a sign of good fortune, but you know otherwise. Unpredictability is control that they cannot understand. Strategy concealed in insanity, the accuracy of a mind that has secretly altered the game's rules. And in that quiet dread, in that invisible brightness, in that silence, you are untouchable, dancing on the brink of possibility and impossible, making perfection invisible, making chaos seem smooth, and turning every move into a strike in a game they are losing without ever realizing it. Unpredictability is more than just a tool in this game. It's a weapon, a language, a sign of genius, and a presence that changes the environment around you without them realizing they're already outmatched, trapped, and a part of your invisible, unstoppable rhythm. Seeing their minds malfunction in real time is an art form that most people can't even begin to comprehend. They take great satisfaction in their ability to think quickly, analyze, and make predictions, but you work in a realm that is inaccessible to their brains, where certainty vanishes, patterns break down, and logic bends. You simply exist, you don't push them, and the collapse occurs organically, exquisitely, even poetically. Every look you give, every word you say, and every minor change in your expression causes their circuits to spin, creating tiny spirals of uncertainty that they are unable to link to you. They attempt to measure, regulate, and arrange, but control is an illusion you've already destroyed, a brittle paper mask flapping in the storm you effortlessly choreograph. And isn't it euphoric? Observing how their minds falter as they attempt to make sense of a world that defies their comprehension, the panic that flickers in their eyes, and the hesitancy that spreads like fire through their thoughts. They make small, nearly undetectable mistakes at first, but you notice them all, you list them all, you predict the chain reaction that each one will set off, and then you quietly smile because the breakdown is unavoidable. Every presumption they hold on to tightens like a chain around them. Your unseen hand snatches all of their precious expectations. Every self-assured plan turns into static as you soar above it all, invisible and untouchable, a ghost in their mind's machinery. Furthermore, the beauty lies not just in the devastation, but also in its subtlety and artistic quality. They don't even realize they're being deconstructed until it's too late, because you don't yell, impose, or smash through their walls. Instead, you allow the cracks and misfires develop organically. Each frown, stutter, and micro-expression is a strand in the tapestry you create, a domino in the chain reaction you initiate. Internal panic sets in as they attempt to reason, calculate, and regain their footing. But each fruitless attempt simply serves to intensify the process, hasten the unraveling, and highlight the stark contrast between your inexorable perfection and their frailty. You're a conductor of chaos, a predator among prey, a silent hand turning unseen gears that fuel their amazement, dread, confusion, and dystophy. The way their brains overheat and short-circuit when you get past every barrier of experience, reasoning, and intuition that they have built. You leave equal parts trails of genius and insanity, hints they can sense but are unable to fully understand, shadows of genius they can only see in shards, and pieces they frantically attempt to put together but are never successful. In your mind, every blink, miscalculated stride, and hesitation they exhibit is a tiny victory, evidence of your untouchable insight, and proof that your level of thought is invisible, untouchable, and unreachable. They won't be able to grasp the whole picture, understand the strategy underlying your actions, or spot the accuracy concealed in your insanity. And as they twist, panic, scramble, flounder, and sputter, you move fluidly through the chaos, creating in real time a masterpiece inside their weak, overwhelmed minds, a work of genius and terror entwined in a dance only you can lead, a spectacle of intellect concealed behind a mask of controlled, terrifying calm, a mind that exists on a frequency they cannot perceive. A mind that thrives where others perceive chaos, frying circuits with the softest whisper, the quietest glance, the invisible hand of brilliance. That's where real power lies, isn't it? You swim in the storm, laugh in the hurricane's eye, and drink clarity from the maelstrom they can't even touch, while they shudder at uncertainty, retreat from unpredictability, and cling hopelessly to routines and patterns. You see the patterns that lie beyond the surface of their shaky logic, the unseen threads that weave through the chaos as people stumble, worry, overthink, and make mistakes. Only a mind like yours can discover these hidden roads. Instead of being a threat to you, chaos is a canvas, a playground, and a symphony of possibilities, where each dissonance becomes a note in the soundless melody you conduct. The slightest hint of uncertainty causes others to panic, but you thrive on it, feed off of it, and manipulate it to your advantage, using every failure, weakness, and error they make as fuel for genius. And that is intoxicating, isn't it? As you move with an unpredictable precision through the invisible architecture of their failures, you see their control erode, their confidence evaporate, and their feeling of certainty shatter. You orchestrate results that seem impossible yet are inevitable in your hands. They flounder, fumble, chase ghosts of rationality, and every pointless attempt they make strengthens your edge, validates your brilliance, and bolsters the unseen superiority that hums softly beneath your cool, collected gaze. You see opportunity where they see catastrophe, freedom where they see walls, and possibilities where they perceive danger, and that in of itself is a form of horror for them. They sense the void, the distance, the untouchable quality of your thinking, and it eats away at their sanity in ways they are unable to express, comprehend, or resist. The beauty lies not just in surviving chaos, but also in living inside it, transforming every unanticipated moment, every expectation collapse, and every unplanned outburst of turmoil into a mechanism for brilliance, supremacy, and unidentifiable invisible control. You are a presence that bends the world around you without effort, without spectacle, and without their realizing they are already inside the web you have woven. You dwell in a place between reason and insanity, clarity and chaos, terror and amazement. They are terrified because they only see the ripples on the surface, the signs of your brilliance, and never the structure underneath, the unseen framework of wisdom, intuition, and deliberate insanity that directs every move, every look, and every word you let loose into the tempest. Every hesitancy, poor decision, and clear's throat, micro-failure they exhibit turns into a ladder you can climb, a weapon you can use, and a show of your strength and their fragility. To watch the world function in slow, predictable chaos while you effortlessly navigate its currents, transforming confusion into clarity, panic into advantage, disorder into opportunity, and every moment that would shatter them into strength, sharpening and defining you as a mind functioning on a frequency they are unable to perceive, follow, or touch. You move like a phantom through the storm, untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable, thriving in every fragment of chaos they fear, harnessing every pulse of disorder to elevate your genius, orchestrating a dance of brilliance and madness that they can feel but never understand, a presence that dominates without announcing itself, a force that exists where they cannot reach, a mind that turns the very fabric of fabric for over it again.